Police units are to be set up to tackle violence across the UK in the wake of riots after the Southport stabbings. We're going to read into this more and watch along some videos from Sky News, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Sky News with the headline that a police unit is to be set up to tackle violence across the UK in the wake of riots after the Southport stabbings. So Keir Starmer criticises thugs who staged demonstrations following the attack on the left that left 3 young girls dead, and said he will not allow the breakdown of law and order on our streets. Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share this across social media so others are notified of this video. So before I play a part of Sir Keir Starmer's speech that he has literally just made at the time of this recording, I have spoken at length about this on the Snowflake Watch, and if you want to hear a lot more in depth, I would recommend checking out that live stream if you haven't already. The last one we did on Wednesday, we covered various clips and responses of that, and basically on this one I wanted to hear more about how the government is going to talk a little bit more about how the government's going to respond here. Now, this police unit, my understanding, is not one that's going to be stationed in one place. It is literally set up with one intention, and that is to go after these people with the intention of looking to break up and cause damage and cause violence and whatnot. Now, I have said that the best way to obviously to address and take these people on is to tackle the heads of people who are behind this, those who advocate for these demonstrations, those who are promoting these protests and whatnot. These are the people that need to be put into question, and the rhetoric and the tone around them is really, really concerning as well. Now, let me be very, very clear. I've said this on the live stream, and I'm going to say it here for you guys. What happened was absolutely horrible and absolutely devastating. 3 young girls lost their lives, and more could have been lost following what was a horrific and disgusting attack from a 17-year-old individual, which I'm not going to name, even though the person's name has been revealed. And that person does need to face the law. But this premise that people have tried to make, that this is behind, that because it's potentially because they tried to claim that this person was an immigrant or an asylum seeker or whatnot, when in fact this person wasn't an asylum seeker, an immigrant, to try and paint this picture that this person somehow is responsible, that this somehow is tied into everything that's happening in terms of migration, is completely nonsense and folly. But the moment that someone made that claim, somebody who was at the incident made that assumption, it was amplified, and people basically spread like wildfire. And social media, in my opinion, needs to take ownership and responsibility as well, because they knew that it was misinformation, because the police stated that the information being spread by on certain platforms. They said the police, I don't know if it's Metropolitan Police, but police who were the police who are dealing with this case, and we need to let them deal with this case, they stated that this was not true. How did social media respond? How did Facebook, Twitter, and other social medias respond? They did nothing. They allowed the misinformation to continue to spread. They didn't clamp down on it. And then it turned violent. All of a sudden, certain groups started highlighting protesting, and we're gonna watch a video based on it from Sky News, which is a very, very good video, which I'm going to share with you guys. And it allowed the misinformation to spread. And these people who went to Southport, just like some of the other places, did not come with the intention of showing solidarity, did not come with the intention of wanting to protest their frustration or anger at what happened. They wanted to cause violence. They wanted to cause harm, and they considered it a lot of fun. These people, and the people who choose to get involved in this, should face the full extent of the law. But we now also know that for all these people are probably not going to face it, but it is those who organize them, who rally these people to these events and whatnot. Those are the people who need to be facing prosecution and criminality of them. But there also needs to be some kind of accountability towards social medias, and more needs to be done from them to clamp down on misinformation and disinformation as well, because they have a role and responsibility as well. Social media is important. We don't want to blank out social media, but we need to apply more pressure. The British government needs to apply more pressure on these social media companies to ensure that misinformation and disinformation is tackled and managed and put down the moment it is put out there. That something is not true, especially when it can lead to potentially people getting hurt or even worse, killed. And that has happened on numerous occasions, not just in the UK but across the world. And social media companies are not doing enough to tackle this and take ownership and responsibility of this. So before we read into it more, we're going to hear a bit from Keir Starmer on this, guys.
Let me now turn to the actions of a tiny, mindless minority in our society. Because in the aftermath of this attack, the community of Southport had to suffer twice. A gang of thugs got on trains and buses, went to a community that is not their own, a community grieving the most horrific tragedy, and then proceeded to throw bricks at police officers who just 24 hours earlier had been having to deal with an attack on children in their community. And so to that end, I can announce today that following this meeting, we will establish a national capability across police forces to tackle violent disorder. These thugs are mobile, they move from community to community, and we must have a policing response that can do the same. Shared intelligence, wider deployment of facial recognition technology, and preventative action, criminal behaviour orders to restrict their movements before they can even board a train, in just the same way that we do with football hooligans. And let me also say to large social media companies and those who run them, violent disorder clearly whipped up online, that is also a crime. It's happening on your premises, and the law must be upheld everywhere.
So it's not that. So he's that last bit there where it's a bit of a, not so much. I mean, he's just, it feels like a little bit of a, I would say a little bit of a warning shot, not to the social media companies, not so much that he's going to do anything as of right now on them, but basically saying this is on you guys as well. You guys need to do something. And I think that's a really important. And I think if it happens again, especially if it happens very recently at the time of this recording, like literally in the next couple of days or weeks, again, you know, something more serious, more action needs to be taken. Like I said, social media companies do have to take their ownership and responsibility of this as well. But it is the people behind these organisations who are putting these together that needs to be, because there's a difference between protesting and violent thuggery. And what these people did, they had no care whatsoever about this case. All they wanted to do was stir violence. And like I've said before, my heart goes out to everyone in the Southport community and all the other communities who were affected last night at the time of this recording, which is a Thursday. Last night, a lot of communities were also hit by violent disorder as well, which from people as well. And I think that's a really important point. So, a police unit will be set up to tackle violence disorder across the country after rioting by far-right groups in the wake of the Southport stabbing, the Prime Minister has announced. Keir Starmer said he would not allow a breakdown of law and order on our streets following violent scenes in Southport, Hartlepool and London in the aftermath of the attack, which killed 3 young girls who attended a Taylor Swift-themed dance class. Holding a press conference inside Downing Street, the Prime Minister criticised tiny, mindless minorities in our society who had forced a grieving community to suffer twice when they staged a demonstration in the aftermath of the stabbing. A gang of thugs got on trains and buses who went to a community not their own, Keir Starmer. Then they proceeded to throw bricks at police officers who were just 24 hours earlier having to deal with an attack on children in their community. And we've already read that bit. These thugs are mobile. Yep, we've read that. Babel King, Domstek 7 said Alice de Alga. These are the names of the people who died as a result of the attack on the Heartspace Community Centre in Southport near Liverpool in May. So Babe King, who was 6, Essel Stankum, who was 7, and Alice Davstar Agua, 9. If I mispronounce the names, I do apologise. 8 other children suffered stab wounds, with 5 now stable after being in critical condition and 2 discharged from hospital. 2 adults remain in critical condition. The violence started on Tuesday night outside Southport Mosque, where demonstrators attacked officers and set police vans on fire. The disorders then spread to other locations in the UK, including London and Hartlepool on Wednesday night. The Metropolitan Police said 111 people were 111 people were arrested in London yesterday evening as flares were thrown towards Downing Street gates, while some threw cans and glass bottles as riot police were deployed. Demonstrations wearing England flags and waving banners saying "Stop the boats" after social media posts wrongly claimed the killing of the 3 girls were carried out by a Muslim asylum seeker. This has nothing to do with asylum and migration, none of it. The Metropolitan Police said some officers sustained minor injuries, and those arrested were detained for offences including violent disorder, assault on emergency workers, and in breach of protest conditions. In Hartlepool, 8 people were arrested for various offences, and more expected after protesters threw missile glass bottles and eggs at police. Several officers sustained minor injuries, and a police car was set on fire. So Kier addressed a journalist after a meeting with police chiefs, where he said he supported them given the appropriate powers to stop future riots. He told journalists after that the meeting this afternoon was not about pointing the finger of blame, but to pull together a response both to the immediate challenge, which is clearly driven by far-right hatred, but also violent disorder that flares up. And he said the government will make a greater use of shared intelligence, facial recognition technology, and preventative actions such as criminal behaviour orders which restrict people's movements before they attempt to take part in another demonstration. Downing Street said local insight and data, while also being used as seen British Transport Police asked the police force where they see a spike in train tickets could be linked to organised violent disorder. This video here we're going to see from Sky News before I finish the rest of it. This is a very good piece by Sky News' Tom Cheshire. Very, very good piece explaining the disinformation, you guys. So let's listen in.
All the police made public about the attacker was that he was 17 years old and from Cardiff. Now, that's for legal reasons. Children can't be named. But it's not much information, and that's when misinformation floods the zone. The online speculation started pretty immediately on July the 29th, specifically anti-immigrant sentiment. You can see it here in terms of engagements on X, formerly known as Twitter. There is this big rise, and it continues for a long while. Now, one X account drove that conversation in particular. It generally deals in anti-immigrant sentiment, and it did so in this case in the afternoon of the attack, saying the attacker was alleged to be a Muslim immigrant. We know that is not the case.
The moment, even though the Twitter handle put the word alleged, people will jump on the bandwagon as saying this is definitely a Muslim. Even though it says alleged, people will automatically assume on this. So already this is misinformation here.
Now, this account is followed by Andrew Tate. Here he is, the controversial influencer.
Him obviously with his mass following obviously exacerbated the issue, which didn't help.
And later Tate posts this, calling the attacker an illegal migrant, again completely incorrectly. And then there's this. It's a much more specific piece of misinformation. It gives a name which we don't think corresponds to anyone we've come across, and it takes on its own life. Again, it spreads and spread, not as much as the general anti-immigrant speculation. You can see here the name in orange compared to the yellow general anti-immigrant sentiment, but it solidifies that narrative that this is to do with immigration and Islam. Now,
nothing to do with it, guys. But the moment that was spread into the seeds and minds and people straight away, without even looking any more information, just jump on this bandwagon and saying that, yep, this is definitely it, without even looking at the facts of what the police are saying. And already when you had someone like Nigel Farage speaking out saying, trying to play it down like, were the police hiding information, which is absolute nonsense as well from him. Like, already people are falling into this trap.
Now, that was initially posted on X in a deleted post now, but it was popularised by this account, a website called Channel 3 now. They picked it up. Now, they appear to produce clickbait articles to drive advertising revenue, and this one really took off.
And this is the thing, yes, like I've said this in other videos, that social media companies, their number one priority is to get you to click, get you to retweet, get you to like, get you to comment, get you to respond, just like here on this video. But the only difference is that happening here is they're spreading misinformation, disinformation, and taking advantage of people's anger and hatred over a very sensitive topic that they consider very sensitive of what's happening in the UK. And they're jumping on it, and they're falling into this. They are literally being hook, lined, and sinkered into misinformation. And that's the problem here. They're falling right into this trap. And it's very, very problematic.
Now, they subsequently posted to apologise for the, quote, misleading information, saying they deeply regret any confusion or, in their words, inconvenience they may have caused.
But the damage is already done at this point. You know, some I will say some, not MPs, but some people who have quite large followings did apologise after for some of their things that they have said. But by then, the damage was already done.
So we have this wild, rabble-rousing, anti-migrant, anti-Islam atmosphere online.
Yeah, and you're going to see quite a few of these.
And now it collides with another separate but linked movement. This is the first poster we found calling for a protest, posted again on the day of the attack. It was created on TikTok and spread onto Telegram. Now, Telegram is a platform where the network of the far right tends to organise in different clusters. This poster was included in one group that featured explicitly Nazi imagery. And there were other calls to arms like this, apparently posted by another account on Telegram on Tuesday morning by someone involved with the far-right organisation Patriotic Alternative. And then they proliferate, all centering around the same message, this call to arms. They're posted by small accounts on Telegram, and they get boosted back on X, increasing the reach of the message. It is those two worlds that drive this. Online misinformation, for whatever reason, being seized on by a more organised online right. And that is fed back into the wider X ecosystem. The result on the streets is chaos and violence.
And this is exactly it. A brilliant piece here by Sky and Tom Cheshire, breaking down and assessing the issue that is here. I mean, those posters there, you could already see one or two of the obviously images here that is painting this picture already. But saying protest, it wasn't a protest, as we know. When they went there, they went with the intention of harm, with the eventual intention of violence. And what was, and like I shared on the live stream, they left such a carnage, such a mess the day after. It was absolutely horrendous. But this is not the first time, and this will not be the last time misinformation can lead to violence like this, that can lead to people getting harmed, and of course, fatally people getting killed. And this is where more needs to be done to tackle the power of misinformation, you guys. It's really, really important. So the Prime Minister also said it was clear that the riots that have taken place over the 3 locations were not protests. It's not legitimate, he said. It's crime, violent disorder, and assault on the rule of law and the execution of justice. And so on behalf of the British people who expect their values and security to be upheld, we will not stop to it. We will put a stop to it, sorry. And on Wednesday night, a 17-year-old boy was charged with the murders of the 3 girls in Southport and the attempted murders of 10 others, as well as possession of the knife. After not being initially named due to his age, this morning he was identified by the judge as, I'm not going to say the name, but there it is there. He is from a nearby village of Banks and was born in Cardiff, Wales. So Keir has had strict words for social media companies after the violent disorder following stabbing was clearly whipping up online. This is also a crime. It says it's happened on your premises and the law must be held elsewhere. So this is the situation, guys. And obviously, I do hope that I really hope, that we have a night of calm, because the last couple of nights obviously has been very tensionous. So I really do hope that I don't have to keep talking about this after a couple of days, because it's not, because we're talking about, we should be allowing the people of Southport, to mourn and be able to mourn and grieve. And instead their lives have been turned upside down by this situation, by violent thuggery, with the only intention of complaining and kicking off about immigration and whatnot. And it's not helping anyone, and it's got nothing to do with it. Migration, the boats and all that, it's got nothing to do with this case. It's got nothing to do with it, as far as the police have made it clear in this. Unless they state something, guys, as far as I'm concerned, as far as we are aware, the police have said there is nothing involved with regards to migration or asylum seeker or anything of the sort. But people will automatically make those assumptions. I would say don't listen to the assumptions of what was done. Let the police do their job. Let the police make tell you what's being said. Now, I've said on this channel, and I'm not going to turn or shy away from it, I have said on this channel how much I've lost trust and faith and confidence in the police force. I'm not going to I'm not going to swing away from that at all, guys. I'm absolutely in agreement. I've stated on numerous occasions that I've lost confidence and trust in this police force. But they still need to be allowed to do their jobs, even if I've lost trust and confidence in them. Now, does that mean that perhaps maybe one day I may have that restored feeling? Perhaps, but right now, that doesn't give in any way, shape or form an excuse to treat police officers in any way like that. They have not been... This doesn't help anyone. You know, the violent thuggery helps no one, doesn't help anybody, doesn't help the police, doesn't help the community, doesn't help the environment. And you're leaving a mess as well. What are you accomplishing? You're accomplishing nothing. And if you are one of those people who were there, if you are one of those people that travelled there, do you feel like you've changed something? Do you feel like you've made a difference? Do you feel like you've made people's lives better? Ask yourself that question. But what do you guys think? What do you guys make of this whole deal? What do you guys make of Sir Keir Starmer's speech? If you did watch it in full, let me know what you think down in the comments below. What do you guys make of his response with this police unit to be set up? What do you guys make of the misinformation video by Sky News and their piece here from them? Let me know all your thoughts about this, the Stockport stabbing and more in the comments section down below. Now, if you found this video interesting or informative, please hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it. Share this across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. If you want to go one step further and financially support me in the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. You can also check out content on my Rumble and Patreon as well for exclusive content on those platforms. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.